Welcome, welcome. Please step inside the tavern and find a seat. You've arrived at the perfect time. I was just putting the finishing touches on a new account regarding the curious adventures of my remarkable associate, Hoggle of Hogglestone. Grab yourself an ale. The great Acorn of the South Grove. The fog lay thick over the mossy marches, clinging to the ferns like a damp woolen coat. Inside Hogglestone, the air was considerably more agreeable, smelling of dried lavender and the faint, sharp tang of a vintage cheddar. Hoggle, a ginger tabby whose girth was surpassed only by his composure, sat by his hearth. He was currently occupied with the delicate task of grooming his left forepaw, a process he approached with the clinical precision of a surgeon. Frantic scratching at the door, 3 short and a long, the universal signal for "I am a rodent in distress," interrupted his meditations. "Enter, Pip," Hoggle rumbled, not looking up, "and do try to leave the mud on the threshold. My rug is Persian, or at least a very convincing local knockoff." Pip, a field mouse wearing a thimble for a hat and carrying a backpack made of an oak leaf, tumbled inside. "Ranger Hoggle, it's a catastrophe! The great Acorn of the South Grove, it's gone!" Hoggle paused, his tongue mid-swipe. He turned a slow amber gaze towards the visitor. "The South Grove Acorn? The one the squirrels believe maintains the gravitational integrity of their branch paths? The very one! They're in a state of high chatter." Hoggle rose, adjusting his tiny leather utility belt. It held a very small, very sharp sword, a silver whistle, and a pouch of dried catnip. "The game, Pip, is afoot, or more accurately, a paw." 10 minutes later, Hoggle stood beneath the sprawling limbs of the South Grove oak. A dozen squirrels hung from the branches, their tails twitching in a rhythmic, nervous semaphore. "Stand back," Hoggle commanded. The squirrels parted. He didn't look at the empty pedestal where the acorn had sat. Instead, he examined a patch of moss 3 feet to the left. "Tell me, Pip, what do you see?" "I see damp moss, sir." "I see a tragedy of errors," Hoggle countered. "Note the compression of the peat. Too deep for a bird, too narrow for a badger. Observe the scent. A faint, unmistakable aroma of peppermint." He stood up, brushing a stray leaf from his fur. "The thief did not flee towards the forest. He went toward the standing stones." "But the stones are haunted," Pip squeaked. "Haunted by nothing more than a draught and a lack of imagination," Hoggle remarked. They reached the stones just as the sun began to burn through the mist. Huddled behind a lichen-covered rock was a local rabbit named Barnaby, clutching the great acorn. He was shivering, his nose twitching at a mile a minute. "A bold heist, Barnaby," Hoggle said, his voice echoing with the weight of a High Court judge. The rabbit jumped. "Ranger Hoggle, I didn't steal it. I'm protecting it." Hoggle stepped forward, his tail twitching, a sign of immense intellectual exertion. "Protecting it from what? The winter? Or the fact that you lost your winter stores in a game of shell and nut with the magpies and hope to trade this for a refund?" Barnaby's ears drooped. "How did you know about the magpies?" "The peppermint," Hoggle said, gesturing to the rabbit's paws. "Magpies are notorious for hoarding the minty delights dropped by wandering gnomes. You reek of desperation and menthol, a classic combination." Hoggle reached out and gently nudged the acorn away with a velvet paw. "Return this to the grove. Tell the squirrels you found it rolled into a ditch. I shall omit the peppermint from my report, provided you spend the next week polishing the windows at Hogglestone. They are currently smudged with snail tracks, and it offends my sensibilities. Later that evening, Hoggle sat once more by his fire. A small saucer of heavy cream sat before him. When you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, or however much it smells of peppermint, must be the truth.